Hey there, friends, and welcome back to another week of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, and today I have another special guest for you. I have invited Sylvia Davis in. She is another retailer, and you seem to be loving our retailer success stories. So I asked Sylvia if she would join us. Sylvia has been a member of my Retailers Inner Circle and a member of my Level Up and Accelerate mastermind group for several years. Sylvia is the founder and CEO of Louisville Mercantile, and she has opened not one, but two different sister shops. So it's been quite a journey for Sylvia that she will share with us today. In our conversation, Sylvia shares the ups and downs and the real life things that happen, when you're running a profitable retail business and all the ups and downs that happen during that. We all know about that, right? I asked Sylvia to join me today so that she would share some experiences with us on how she's managed to grow her business to a place where she's able to actually run the business and not necessarily be in the business all the time. She's a really great example of somebody who tries new things and has been really experimenting and not afraid, I guess, to try new things, but she's also been not afraid to delegate and don that CEO hat that I'm always talking about. So, that's something that we should all be really striving for. And I think we all are working towards that. And Sylvia is a great example of it. And honestly, it hasn't all been easy. So I've had the privilege and pleasure of watching Sylvia grow into that role. And it's, again, as I said, it's been such a joy. And again, not afraid to try new things, and she's going to share some of that that strategy and how she thinks about business. I love how she approaches her retail business, and she's always forward thinking, and I think you'll find great value. Well, I don't think, I know, I'm confident that you're going to find great value from the nuggets that Sylvia is going to share with you today. I really do think you're going to find that. So before we jump in, as always, I want to remind you and I want to invite you to join members like Sylvia and other really passionate and committed shop owners inside the Retailers Inner Circle. Our enrollment is open right now, so it is it's for established brick and mortar shop owners, just like Sylvia, who want to refine their retail business. The Retailers Inner Circle is for education, for strategy, and it's a great, great community. I'm so proud of the community that we're building in there. So, you really don't have to go it alone. I promise. Pinky swear. So we'd love to see you join us. And if you join us this summer, as I've been mentioning, in August, we will be running our fifth annual, I can't believe it, our fifth annual holiday boot camp. And that has been a game changer for so many people. Originally, the boot camp was my game changer. It wasn't called a boot camp. I did the work and it just completely transformed my business the way that I did that one of the very first holidays many, many years ago. And retailers started asking me how I did it. So we just sort of created the boot camp, and it's gotten better and fresher and newer. And, every year we've done it a little bit better. And of course, as we do. And it's just a really great time. This is a great time to join the Inner Circle so you can be part of that and do it at your own pace, but with our help and our support inside that community. So if you are interested, and if this is something that you're hoping to just have a much easier and not go it alone through this holiday, and you want to see a little bit more profits, maybe a little bit more ease, and maybe have some more fun this holiday. Honestly, we can have fun. Honestly, you'll hear Sylvia talk about, how life can be still fun, even though we're running two shops or whatever you're doing, whatever your situation is. Being prepared and planning for profits instead of hoping for them is really what we do inside the Inner Circle and during the boot camp. So if you'd like to join us, it's wendybatten.com/join. You can find my other programs and services in there. Also, if you are interested in becoming a member of the Level Up in my mastermind group, the next cohort that will be running with members like Sylvia, if that's more to your liking, if you'd really like to be in a mastermind group, reach out to me. Again, wendybatten.com, or find me on Instagram. Let's chat. I will set up a conversation and I'll get you an application for that mastermind. Okay, let's get on with the show and have a notepad ready. As always, Sylvia is full of wonderful information for you, and it's such a joy to have her here. I'm so grateful for her to have taken time to join us. I hope you, and I know you will, enjoy our conversation. So let's get to it with Sylvia. Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. All right, everybody, I'm so excited to have Sylvia in with us today. Welcome, Sylvia, to the Creative Shop Talk podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. I've known Wendy for, probably 3 years now, and always a wealth of information. I always just love to hear her talk about what she does and everyone else. So I'm excited she invited me to be with y'all today.
Oh, well, we're excited to have you here because has it only been 3 years? I feel like I've known you so long. So we've been working together for some time, and I invited Sylvia on because she's a great example of growth and mindset, but it's not always easy, right? I mean, we all have the journey. And I think that some people just look at what do they call that? The iceberg analogy, like that, they see, oh, look, she's running 2 stores and everything's hunky-dory. So I love talking to retailers in this series that we're doing about, the reality of opening and running a retail shop. So do you want to just talk a little bit? Can you share with us a little bit about your journey? Tell us how, have you always been a retailer? How did you end up where you are right now?
Absolutely not. This is actually something that is totally new to me. I was never, ever anywhere close to a retail store except for going and shopping in one. And so my business is Louisville Mercantile. We're in Louisville, Tennessee. That's our flagship location. We have a sister store in Maryville, which I'll talk about a little bit. But the Louisville store came about. It was really crazy. Barry and I drive by this shopping complex. It's just 6 units in Louisville, like every day going to work. And we were just coming by. It was around Thanksgiving and saw something out front. Lady had some decor things. We stopped in to say, I go like, I haven't seen this, shop, passing it for 3 years. And so went in there. She told me the long story short is that the unit next door is becoming vacant. I walked out of that shop and I said, Barry, I want to be a shop owner. Do you know who owns this building? Because Barry knows a lot of people in the area. He says, absolutely, I do. He calls up John and says, John, somebody wants to have a store. Can she rent the space? And in 3 hours, I was a shop owner. Never, ever, 3 hours prior, thought that I would. I had dabbled in crafts and done things like that before, but at the time I became a shop owner, I was working full time. I worked a lot of higher level positions in finance area and higher education. And so I just kind of stepped in, not knowing anything what I was doing. I didn't even have a Facebook account. I mean, I was absolutely zero on Facebook, any social media. So crazy world. And honestly, Barry thought I was going to open a quilt store because I left a quilt, and that's not what I did.
Oh, I didn't know that part. I didn't know you opened. I knew that you opened without knowing. And that's actually not unlike a lot of people. We have these wonderful hobbies and then we, just decide. I opened mine. It's very similar. I was just going to have a paint studio, right? That's just where I'm going to paint. And then it somehow became a very busy retail store like yours. But so things evolve and grow. We say this a lot, as you know, in all of my groups, accidental entrepreneur sometimes, right? So right. What are we getting into? I didn't realize that you decided in 3 hours later had a shop. But anyway, that's really funny. And we've been working together a long time. So it's really funny. Poor Barry.
He's awesome, actually. He's been through this thick and thin, and I think he keeps working full time, so he won't be my regular transportation furniture mover person.
So he has someplace to go. Well, tell our listeners about your shop. Tell us, what do you do, and so when did you open? When did all this happen? Let's take them through the journey.
So we opened in spring of 2016, our Louisville location. And at the time we opened, we really just cobbled in more used kind of furniture, brought in some gift areas. Our Louisville, Tennessee location, it's a town. It probably has 4,000 people in it now, but between us, the bait shop and the barber shop, there is no retail there. So you had to go out to another bigger city to get gifts for friends and things like that. So that's why we came in to fill that void. And I have friends that work for me. And we started redoing some furniture. And so based on that, we brought in a paint line. And so we just kept expanding. So our Louisville store now, 6 years later, has expanded from that 1 unit to 3 units. So we have half of that shopping complex for our shop now. And we do DIY products there. That is our DIY headquarters. We hold workshops there as well. It's our shipping location. And our big pull there is the gifts, home decor, and consignment. And one of the smartest things I did was to bring in somebody, a store manager who has an interior design background, Bridget, to run that store for me, which allowed me to be a CEO. So that's the first location. Our sister location came about in 2018. And at that time, I was no longer working in higher education. I had retired and moved on to working in the business operations for a national research lab, a major lab here in the area. And my friend bought a building in Maryville, Tennessee. And so she asked me if I was interested in doing it. And I said, I can't afford to do that. And she made me a deal I couldn't refuse. So the next thing I know, I had 2 locations, which was never in the plans. And I was able to go in and retire from that position. I retired at everything at a early age, just FYI. It was a blessing. I was always in the right place at the right time. And that building was an old grocery store that was built in the 30s, and it had an antique mall. So we ended up doing vintage over there. So we have 2 locations, but they're similar in some ways, but very different in other ways, which actually does make it a challenge. How you market to folks and how you bring in inventory. And in one place, a Maryville location is vendors, so we rent out space. We don't do that in our Louisville location. So it's almost like working 2 different businesses at the same time, but under one umbrella.
Right. And so that we got a lot to pull out of it. We got a lot to share about that.
Yeah. And then we went online. So during the pandemic, we actually started doing online sales and doing online. So now we're trying to go online. So in some ways, I think I have 3 locations to work. One's in space and 2 are on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Online is a separate marketing entity. We know that. So okay, let's unpack a few things. It isn't easy. Most people open a second location and it's like they rinse and repeat, right? They just duplicate what they're doing at one location. And that's not what you're doing. So we've had many discussions about this, and you call it the sister store because one brand, but really still under the same core brand message. I would say you're still offering the same types of service as far as the way you offer service. So do you have any advice to anybody else who would be thinking of opening something different, like something in another similar but not the same?
That's a good question. Think about what you do. We made the decision, and first of all, the 2 locations, they're in the same county. They probably attract different folks traveling because the Maryville location is on the way to the Great Smoky Mountains. So you get a lot of tourists and you get that side of the county. I live in a fairly big county, where the other county will draw more from the big city. We're close to Knoxville. So I've actually catered to 2 different groups of people in some way, I think, as far as needs, even though our shops are only about 20 minutes drive time apart. Now we have people that go to both of them, but that's one thing I think as a basis for this discussion, you kind of think about. One was whether we had a different name or not. And we elected after some thought process to keep it one name, just because it saved us so much time, money, and effort from a social media standpoint, trying to explain to people where we are. So we just really say to folks, visit one location versus the other location, shopping bags, everything like that, wherever you can think about the underlying cost of supporting a business when you have the 2 locations. Be the same or different in the way you serve people is one of the key things that I think about. I mean, it's part of my finance background, but it's also, making sure that you can have staff in both places, that you train staff to work in both places, that they have the right operating procedures to work from, and to listen to staff about what they see and what's going on in those stores so you know how to react differently, because they are truly two different looks in my case and feel. So I don't know I have a whole lot of guidance, except I say you really have to give it some thought on the front end about how you can move merchandise between the two stores, how you can store things in two stores, and how you really control your inventory levels so they're optimized for both locations. And I think that's one of our weaknesses right now, to be totally honest, is how we go in and manage that inventory. Yes, we have an MPOS system, but really understanding, do you have to have the same things in both locations? Does it make sense to do that? And where do you sort of keep similar things versus digressing and having different things?
Yeah. And I think that is the challenge for even with one location, just making sure we're optimizing our inventory. And I know you've been working really hard on that as far as what's selling, especially with this changing economic time as well, too, right? So, and I'm going to pull out another thing that you just mentioned. So share with our audience, you mentioned at the beginning that you have a manager that helps you. So that helps you free up your time so that you can do the CEO duties. And I know that is something I talk about a lot, and I don't preach. I don't like to say I preach, but we do teach a lot about, really stepping into your role of CEO, because I don't think it's possible to run two locations without really stepping into that role. I think that it's just a recipe for exhaustion. Maybe that's the word. And you've really stepped into that. And as your businesses have been growing and, that you've been doing so well, can you speak a little bit to some of the things that you do in your role as CEO? What are the things that you're doing when you're not physically in the shop serving customers? Because you've managed it so well. I love how you, I love how you educate yourself and, some of those things. Yeah.
Well, I do actually stay active in groups. So, it's not like I'm on an island by myself dreaming up all these ideas. I learn from others. And, some things are things that work well in our operations. Some things we would say not so well. And we're not afraid to try. I mean, I think that's one of the things. We make some calculated risk. And, life's a journey. Business is a journey. Failure is not a failure. It's just a learning opportunity as far as we're concerned. So that's the way we approach that. I'm the one that spends all the time on social media. So I'm the one trying to grow there. I'm the person who's out there looking to say, what do we need to do? What do we need to do differently? And I don't do that by myself. So I have a VA that helps with some of our graphic designs. And I have a local firm that also helps me do ads and try to put me in the right path. I get educated enough that I can talk their lingo, but by no means is I'm techie whatsoever. So social media, networking is another one of mine that I try to get out in the community to make folks aware of Louisville Mercantile and what we can do. And then me and my team, Emily, Bridget, and there's other on the team. I'd say that those are the three core ones. We sit down and talk about where do we want to go next? What do we want to do? And brainstorm ideas. And once we kind of come with ideas, I try to run some of the details to make sure we're good on strategy and say, what's our focus for each quarter, where we want to be. I'll leave some of the things to them, though. I mean, I honestly, if you think about my prior life, I delegated most of it. Now I had control. I am a kind of control freak, but I trusted the folks around me to be the right folks. And so I can walk away from it knowing that whatever they do, it may not be exactly what I was going to do, but they're going to do it right. And that's the way I feel about the folks that work for me today. So when I go in from a CEO perspective, I don't sit there and worry about whether they're sitting on their phones talking when a customer comes in, because I know they're not. I know that they're out there doing what they need to do. They're being innovative, and they're actually coming back to me with ideas. So that's one of the things as a CEO, I think, is hiring that right team that you trust. And I've got awesome people who work for me. It's been with me for a long time.
Yeah.
Some really almost from the start. I mean, it's just crazy good.
Yeah, that's right. You've had team members there for a while, and that's
Mhm.
empowering them and delegating. And that is like, you're not micromanaging. And I do see that in what you do. You're like, man, no, I'm letting them do the thing. But what I see you do well as well in the CEO role, which I see people struggle with. And if this is you listening, come back right now and listen. If you're not good at the management side of your business, because this is what happens. I think we love our shop, we're in our shop, we're hanging out, and you do too. And I know you love painting and you do, a lot of the products that you're very involved with the shop, but you are taking the time to step away and, like, again, not micromanage. But you've created really great P's, standard operating procedures, shop standards. You've created a beautiful culture, and culture is something that people think of this kind of, I don't know, word that they don't know how to put down on paper, but that's part of your CEO role, right? I look at culture as, this is how we do things around here. This is how we treat people. This is how we display things. This is how this is how we want things to feel and be and do. And you do that very well. Would you say that, and I guess my question, I guess, is, do you find that hard? Has that been an easy transition for you to put all of those things in place, or were there struggles along the way?
In some ways, I would say it's easy because I just go with the flow. I don't let the little things bother me. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we just move on and do something else. So, maybe, yeah, you've had some of your frustrating days, but I'm such an optimistic person
Yes.
about life in general. I just think
Yeah.
that comes through the story. What it is, and you just do the best you can. I think from customers, I mean, they're our heart and soul. And
Yeah.
I'm in a southern town. I'm all southern. I just have to admit it. And it's like people are first. And the thing that comes in with our store is our customers are really our friends. And we know something about the customers. We don't come in and say, when they walk in the door, what do you want? We just sort of have a general conversation like they're sitting on their back porch with a glass of sweet tea in their hands. I
Right.
mean, that's the kind of way that we approach it. We know something about them. And honestly, during the pandemic, that was one of our growth times because we went online and we brought people together. And it's amazing the friends that were made in online. They're still with us today on our online sales. Um, I mean, they're just friends. They want to meet each other. And when they see each other in the shop, it's just like a homecoming. I mean, I think that's one of the beauties of what we do. We're just kind of like a gathering place. And the people mean something to us. They're not just customers, they're people.
Right. And that's so great. And so that's a great segue, because I did want to talk to you about the community and environment that you are building, the culture that you're building. And you have become, it was really awesome to watch those people online. So Sylvia would go live doing Facebook Live sales, like many of you did, going online with her team, and you'd see these conversations happening in the comments of your, of your page. And it was so fun. Like, Sylvia'd be up there saying, oh, Bert, I've got this beautiful thing for, you're going to love this, and upcoming, we got something else coming up. And they'd all be talking, oh, Susan would love this. And they're all like chatting amongst themselves. It was really beautiful to watch. And it's been fun to continue to watch that happen. But also, I know that happens inside the shop. And that emotional connection, I think, is what you do very well. And again, like you said, I don't know, I'm just sitting on my back porch with me, or whatever, right? So it's not strategic, but it is, I guess, when we talk about strategic planning for your business and your business growth, I know that that's natural to you, but it's also a good lesson for everybody else to understand that it's the emotional connection. Customers buy because of emotional connection, which you're building. And I think, yeah,
And tell their friends about us, and
that's
bring
right.
their friends. I mean, it's always fun when you have a customer friend, as I would like to call her, a friend customer, and they're bringing their friends. They're in the area, or it's like we wanted a girls trip out and we wanted to come see y'all shop, and we'll go to both locations. So they'll stop at one, and I'm going to take them over to the other one. It's just fun.
What have you found a big struggle, or one of the hardest struggles for you personally about business, about
Oh,
running your shops?
I think the sense of responsibility I have to make the right decisions because I employ people.
Right.
And I worry about my team
Yeah.
and making sure that they feel comfortable enough that they're not going to have to worry about their paycheck next month, and that they have opportunities to grow. So I think that weighs on my mind significantly, is that I care about the people who work for me, and I want to make sure that they're having the best life from a work standpoint that I can provide, and that they have a healthy life balance. So we're all just really honestly like family. We pitch in for each other when someone's out. People can work and move between two locations. They're just always there to help. And they give so much to me that I might tear up now that I feel just so responsible for them and their happiness.
Yeah.
So I think that's what weighs on me more than anything.
Yeah. And I think that comes through to your customers as well, too, because we don't use inside our inner circle. Sylvia's been part of my inner circle and mastermind group. And for a long time, we don't use the word employees at all. And I didn't actually do that on purpose. Like, that's not conscious of me, but it's because we're growing teams, and there's got to be a word in between team and family, right? We need something a little bit better, I think, even, but that's what I see, especially in this day and age. People want to be part of something awesome, and you're building something awesome. So your customers want to be part of that. Your team wants to be part of that. Your employees, whatever we're calling, all that community that you're building. And you know what, even our family and friends, like Barry wants to be part of that. And Tilly, who's probably sitting on your lap right now, who's her dog, who makes a lot of, Tilly is probably right on her lap right now. So it's so funny, but she's so cute. And you got to go onto Sylvia's pages to see Tilly every now and then, but it's family, right? It's all family, and it's all works together. And I think that is what differentiates you and other small businesses. And it's not easy. Like I said, that iceberg analogy, it's like, there's all this weight on your shoulders and decisions to be made. And it's also, and we talk about this a lot, new level, new devil. I don't know. I say that's not the right way, but there's always new things to learn. There's always the next level of education. There's always something else comes up. There's always another pandemic. There's always economic downturn, and there's always something that's coming up. And you've adapted so beautifully. I think it's just been beautiful to watch you, grow and put that CEO hat on, and staying in integrity and keeping your culture going. And that's what's attractive to people. And I want people to hear that. I want them to build that for their own businesses. I think it's important. I think you're a very good example of doing that well.
Right. Thank you.
So, yeah. So if there's one thing you could share with retailers that are listening, shop owners that are just like you, growing their businesses, do you have one piece of advice or one action step or something that you think that would be that we want people to walk away and remember?
Well, I come back to, I think what our conversation has been, you're only as good as the people that surround you. Mm-hmm. And one of the oldie but goldie books, I love the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. And one of the things that has stuck with me, I don't care whether I was working for $1 billion or multi-billion-dollar company, or whether I'm working for Louisville Mercantile, it said you had to have the right people on your bus, and they had to be in the right seats. And you don't go out and just hire just anybody. I mean, you make a calculated decision about the person who comes in is not a warm body. They are a body who can help your business. You're better off not having that body.
I agree.
Than having a body who doesn't work with your team, who doesn't feel the sit in the right seat for your team, deliver what you need for that team. So I think, sometimes we just get where we think we have to hire a person because we need a person. Sometimes that could be the worst thing that you ever do. So I think having the right people on your team, on your bus, in the right seats is where I would tell people that they need to be.
That's excellent advice.
There's a lot of money into training people and hiring people. That's one of your probably biggest costs too, payroll. And so I think that's kind of critical. You can have the most competent, the most brilliant, the most outgoing person on your team, but if they don't work with your other team members, you don't want them. I mean, you got to make some decisions that's for the best interest of your team.
I love that. I think that's really great.
And speaking of team, I'm going to put a plug in if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
So team can be people who aren't actually working for you. So with Wendy's mastermind, 5 of us have gone together to collaborate and try to grow our businesses. So your team doesn't have to be a person on the payroll. They can be somebody that's a friend, a business acquaintance, or someone with similar interests. So if you're a DIYer and you're a home decor type person, me and my team, they're going to laugh at that. We'll invite you to come join our new Facebook page, the DIY House Party. So we have folks from Pennsylvania, California, Kansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky in there, and we would love to have you. So I'm sure Wendy will put a link in for us.
Absolutely.
Or she'll cut us out of the podcast. I don't
know. No, we'll make it happen. And I think that's a really great. First of all, that's a great plug. Way to go, Sylvia. That's really good. I'm always telling Sylvia you have to talk about this group more often in more places. So there you go. I'm glad you spoke about it. That's awesome. So and that is, I believe, and I've seen this happen with our mastermind members inside our group. And like they're 5 mastermind members that have collaborated, but also become good friends, and you kind of know each other. And there's like the team or the bus, the bus gets filled with not just people that work for you, but people that you surround yourself with, as you mentioned in the Good to Great book. And so you've kind of like surrounded yourself with some good fellow shop owners. Hopefully you feel that inside the mastermind group. And then they've sort of not subdivided, but they've created their own. This group is amazing. So we'll put a plug out. Definitely, if you're a DIYer and you want to join Sylvia and, well, the rest of them, there's 5 of them, representing, you are all over the country, aren't you? Pretty much coast to coast in the country. So it's wonderful. And it's a great example. I'm going to just I'll plug you guys, but I want to just sort of plug that notion of collaboration. And again, whether it's with your team, whether it's, your 2 shops together, whether it's whatever, a fellow business owner, you've gotten together and collaborated with your strengths, and it's wonderful to watch and grow and grow your businesses together. So that's beautiful. Collaboration is, I think, a really great way to market our businesses, and that's a whole other podcast. We'll talk about it another time, but we'll definitely plug your DIY House Party Facebook group. If you're just listening, and I want you to check out the show notes, we'll definitely have that there for you as well too. So thank you, Sylvia. What's next for you and your business, you or your business, anything? What are you most looking forward to as we're coming into the holiday season? What are you excited about?
Well, the exciting part is that we're actually going to have a customer appreciation event. We're in the process of planning right now in September, and it's not a sales event. It is like a true customer appreciation. We want you to come out and have fun with us, have a party with us, and there's going to be lots of food. If you live in the South like we do, every good event has to have lots of food. So there'll be a lot of food. There'll probably be some food trucks, if we can get music or something like that. But it's really going to be more of a celebration. It's not like coming to our shop and buy, because we really appreciate what they do. So that's the fun part. The not so fun part, which puts back on that CEO hat, is all about strategic planning. So we're really trying to look, especially now, in how to grow revenue streams. So we're focusing on our DIY. We carry a lot of DIY products and workshops. So we're trying to grow that. We're working on online, and then just keeping customers inside the shop. Just regular routine business as we go into the holiday season. So the party's the fun part, the strategy is the needed part. And so that's what it looks like the rest of the year for Louisville Mercantile.
Yeah, strategy can be fun. We can have fun with that. We have lots of fun. we'll have fun planning strategy. We'll do that. So I mean, strategy is, I don't know, I think we overthink it, but you're right. We have to always be thinking. And I guess we're just all learning to adapt all the time with all the challenges always being thrown at us. It's never done, is it? It's never easy peasy.
That's what makes life. That makes it exciting though too. Yeah. You're always trying to figure out what the next great thing is, and how to capitalize on what you already have.
That's right. And you do it so well. And again, it's wonderful to see you do it with your team. You do it with your team, your internal team. You do it with us and our coaching groups. You run things by, and again, it's good to have, we can't be on an island. So I love that you strategize with lots of different, and take that advice, and, we can kind of filter that down through our needs and wants. Right. So it's wonderful to hear that. So
Yeah,
Well,
it's awesome that you have people with you that aren't like you. And I think that's really important. So you see a broad range of ideas. So yeah, team. It's all about team.
yeah. And I would even add to that a little tiny bit of even our team, like part of our team is our clients, right? So sometimes pulling a segment and surveying or whatever it is we're doing to really, what are their needs? And if you've been listening to the podcast for a long time, I'm always saying what are they thinking, feeling, doing? Because it changes too, right? So
That's right.
getting different customers' needs change and our needs change and their needs it's always changing, right? But that's what makes it exciting. So it's all good. So thank you so much, Sylvia, for your time today. I know you're busy. I appreciate you so much. Very, very busy person, doing your CEO work with your two shops. So I appreciate you being here. Where's the best place for us to send people to check out your shops?
I would say go to shoplouisvillemercantile.com as our webpage, and you can see everything we have there. You can also go to your Google and Apple store and download our app. We actually have an app that you can shop from. You can do it for our live sales.
Yep.
And you can come visit us. So if you're in the Knoxville area, if you're headed to the Smoky Mountains, come to Louisville or come to Maryville, come to both. And visit our locations. We'd love to see
you. It's going to be fun, right?
Oh, it's always going to be fun.
Yes, I know your shops are fun and awesome. So, and you are the first person to actually invite people in to come and see them. It's so funny of all the interviews I've done, which is funny because that's what we do, right? We invite people. So there you go. We'll have all of Sylvia's information, including her address, so you can drop on in. And have some fun with Sylvia and her teams. And we'll have all of that in the show notes for you. So thank you so much, Sylvia. Appreciate you.
Absolutely glad to do it.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Hope I help somebody.
Yes, I know you will. So I will tell you that one of the most popular downloads that we always have are retailer stories because people want to hear the stories. So thank you for sharing yours. I find I'm always hesitant to ask because I know how busy everybody is, but your stories are so valuable to other people. So nobody likes hearing Wendy prattle all the time, right? So it's great to hear other people's experiences. So thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks, Sylvia.
Thank you, Wendy.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. Make sure you join our Rockstar Creatives Facebook group. We will continue the conversation over there weekly. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.